Thank you. I'm happy to be here. What is this actually, and how can we put it into our own lives to get really great results? I have the amazing Taylor Carr. Thank you so much for having me. It is beautiful when you can be a woman who's open and loving and still smart and savvy and modern and classic and all these things, because the feminine is the all.
Hello, my darlings. Welcome back to the Modern Muse Diaries. Today I have a solo episode for you talking about the cyclical nature of the feminine. I was thinking about this topic as I'm getting ready to start open my new 6-week mastermind. We have one spot left. We start on the 26th of September at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I was thinking about just how cyclical the feminine is in nature, and it's obvious in the way that we bleed, right? It's obvious in our cycles. We bleed, and then we're follicular, and then we go into our ovulation mode, and then we become luteal, and the whole world feels like it's falling apart, and it feels sad and heavy, and then we bleed again, and then we start all over. So I was thinking back to when I went through my really big breakup back in early 2022. And I was thinking about, obviously, like the obvious level of grief that I experienced from a relationship ending, a really important relationship ending. And I think that grief is so obvious to so many of us that there's other levels of grief that we don't realize occur within the feminine as well. And those levels of grief deserve a platform, deserve a stage, deserve attention, right? So there was the level of grief of, oh my gosh, I have to live alone and like learn how to do this all over again. And then once that cleared and I became happy with living alone, I knew that love and marriage was an ultimate goal, an ultimate desire of mine. And starting to date again, there was grief in the energy of, well, now I have to go out and connect with other people, connect with other men. That feels really, really difficult. And the grief of sitting across the table from somebody new, right? And then it was, okay, now I'm like really ready for marriage and to meet my husband. And then the grief and, oh, I'm going to grieve being a single girly because I have grown to love being a single girly. I've grown to love being a single woman. And that grief can prevent us from going out and actually getting our desires. There's the grief in wanting to transcend our comfort zone, right? So it's like, well, I like my house. I like where I live. I'm good with the level of income I have, even though I have bigger desires that I'd like to expand. And so processing the grief of what will happen, who will I become when I go live in a new place, I go make new friends in a new city or a new apartment building or a new house, right? And like what comes with that? I leave my comfort zone, and what comes with more money in my bank account? Am I going to have to hold more at work or in my business, right? And so there's a grief of new identities constantly, identity shifting constantly. Great. So then let's use me as an example. Eric and I start dating, and then it's really getting serious. And then there's a grief in, oh, I'm closing down my options now. It's just this guy. And I love that. And I'm grateful for that. And I also have really loved this era of dating. So there's a grief in that. And then it's, oh, now we're engaged. There's a grief in that too of, whoa, this thing I've always wanted, this beautiful ring that he's placed on me is a symbol for other men to not talk to me. There's a grief in that. Not that I want other men. I don't. I'm so in love with my partner. And it's just a cyclical nature of the transcending. And then it's, well, now I'm leaving my single girl apartment and moving into my house with my man. And there's a grief in that as well. And so how we hold ourselves through these moments of shifting identity and feeling the grief of the loss of the version of you that you've grown to like, the version of you that you've grown to be comfortable with, the version of your life that you've had without demonizing it, right? Without making yourself wrong or bad for it, is important. It is valuable. I even remember in my life when I lived in my home in like inland Venice Beach in Los Angeles. I remember 10 years, I was so deeply attached to that home. It was, I mean, the roots that I had dug into this home were borderline toxic. I'm aware. And I remember people asking me to get rid of furniture or like move things or shift things, and it would cause like full meltdowns in my body because the comfort zone was so big because home was an unsafe thing for me growing up. And because I had, experienced homelessness and all this other stuff with my mother, it was complex to think about moving and shaking up that level of safety that I had finally created for myself. It's in these moments, in these grieving moments, these identity shifting moments, these comfort zone moments, that we have a really important choice to make. The women in my world, the women listening to this podcast, the women who follow me on social media, the women who, listen to my work, listen to my words, my clients, these are the type of women who want more out of life. These are the type of women who want to expand and create and grow and go bigger. And the comfort zone and the grief of shifting identities is part of the thing that really, really holds us back. I'm so comfortable in this space. I'm so comfortable with myself. I'm so comfortable in my aloneness. Can I even trust myself to process the grief of inviting somebody new into that? Can I trust that my life with a man will be just as good as my single girl life? And if it's not, can I trust myself to walk away and do it all over again? And so all of these things are happening cyclically inside of us at any given moment of rupture and grief and pain. And if we don't know how to hold ourselves through the in-between moments, that's when we get stuck. That's when we get stuck in grief, and then years go by and we don't know what happened, and we miss the old version of ourselves and we're looking for her. I can't tell you how many times I hear women in calls with me say, I used to have it. I used to be this. I used to do this. Now it's so hard. It's because if we don't move cyclically as women, the stuckness gets trapped in our body and it creates disorder, disease, right? It creates an emotional response. It creates a fear, a shutdown, a lack, a scarcity. One of the things I've really been talking to a lot of people about lately is lack and scarcity, and the way that that deeply impacts your relationship life. It impacts your relationship with dating, friendships, your lover, your husband, your wife, whatever you have that you're listening to this podcast. The way that we do one thing is the way that we do everything. And in my world, I say the center of everything is love. So if we aren't good at zooming in and looking where we're afraid of growth, where we're afraid of grief, where we're afraid of expansion, where we're afraid of lack or scarcity, or, we're not sure what's on the other side, so we hold ourselves back, that's where the juice is. Again, women are cyclical in nature. We move in cycles. And so if your cycle right now is another grief response, is another, well, I got really far and now I'm in this place and I'm feeling stuck and I don't know what to do and I don't know how to move myself forward, and I'm grieving this older version of me, I'm grieving this older version of my life, it is within your best interest to fully grieve it, fully let it go, and move forward. It's so important and it can be so challenging. And I am so aware. Again, I've been thinking about my own cyclical process from rupture in leaving a relationship, becoming single again, loving my singleness, dating, finding the man I was going to marry, and getting back in relationship and moving in together. And that was an extremely important experience in my life that was filled with discomfort. And as humans, we naturally are looking for comfort. As humans, we naturally want to gravitate to what feels comfortable and pleasurable. And if you're a woman with a bigger vision for herself, for her life, for her love story, for her children, for her wealth, for her abundance, for her expansion, for her being the woman she wants to be in the world, you gotta move. You get to know how to hold yourself in the in-between moments without collapsing, feeling the rupture, feeling the grief, and having the skills to actually move through it. When you actually move through it, what's on the other side is so gold. It's transmutation, right? It's alchemy. You turn this thing into gold, and it's completely up to you. It's completely up to the decisions that you make and the beliefs that you choose to have as, how much gold you're going to give yourself. Right? And we all get stuck in this. I've gotten really great at pulling myself out of this. And even I am hitting a level and a ceiling right now that I am actively doing energetic work on to move through it. Because if my business is making, just throwing out this number, because this is about where I am right now, 200,000 this year, right? And last year about the same. I've gotten really good at making 200,000 in my business. I haven't quite tapped into the frequency and the mindset of a woman on the internet who has a business pretty much alone who makes $500,000 in her business in a year. I haven't quite tapped into that frequency yet. I am working on elevating that with my own tools. And that means feeling the grief and the rupture of $200,000 years are comfortable for me. That feels safe. I know how much I will and won't work. I have this certain lifestyle that I really, really like. What would it mean to add more? And having that conversation with myself looks like, where am I afraid? What do I believe about that level of money and people who hold it? What do I believe about myself being able to hold it? What do I believe about what that means in my relationship as I prepare to get married in the next 9 months? There's a lot of beliefs there that I get to look into, and that is the in-between moment. That is the cyclical nature. That is looking at the closure inside of me where I'm like, well, here's the biggest belief. Here's the biggest belief that's been preventing me from hitting that level, and the biggest belief that I'm currently processing is, and like, I know it's not true, but it's there anyway. Who am I to make $500,000 by myself in a business I pretty much run alone when the world is in a chaotic state like it is? When there's people who are in pain, when there's children who are starving, when there's bombs going off in other countries, when freedom of speech is at risk in my own country right now, who am I to be a woman who does that? And I keep replacing that thought with, who the fuck am I not to be a woman who receives that level of wealth and that level of impact with the women who deserve it? At this time, so great. I was talking with my astrologer and my friend Catherine Wheeler about this earlier. You've probably heard me mention her name a few times. She's just such one of my best friends at this point. We talk all day, every day. And we were talking about how, like, people online are going, Taylor Swift, read the room. How could you be launching a new album right now when the world is like how it is? And it's the exact right time for Taylor Swift to launch an album, for astrological reasons, which is for Catherine to explain, and for energetic reasons, because without art, without music, without love, without pleasure, without hope, without faith, we don't stand a chance. So if we're having a difficult time out in the world, we also get to have a Taylor Swift dance party. That's duality. That is duality. And at this point, I'm just kind of riffing. I'm just going on, where my head has been with all of this, because I'm in my own growth and my own expansion and at my own edge right now. And the Modern Muse Diaries, like, I have pledged, even though it's so uncomfortable, you guys, to share my own process with you too. I have grown so much from being a girl who could barely hold $2,000 in her bank account and had all of these stories about why no one hires me and everyone's better than me and whatever the stories were, when I was a hostess in Santa Monica. 2019, early 2020, right? And then 2020, my business made $5,000 that whole year. And I was like, that's pretty good. I had a $5,000 year. That's great. And then I made about 60,000 in my business in 2021. I was like, huge leap. Let's go. That's an amazing amount of money. And and then 2022 came around and my heart broke. And my entire identity changed. And I became a woman who no longer could go figure out how to have her little business online. I became a woman with a soul mission who had no choice but to shift her identity and hold herself in the moment between, even when she didn't believe it was possible. At that point, it was like, this is life or death. I will become this woman who teaches this, who helps other women. And that's it. Like, there's no other story here. And I'm just gonna like be so passionate about it that people cannot help but come in and learn from me. And now I'm in a new cyclical place too, where now I'm married with the house and the money and the car, and I'm like happy, and I live in a great neighborhood, and I'm looking out my window and it's trees and blue sky and palm trees, and it's so beautiful outside. It's like 78 degrees Fahrenheit and with a slight breeze. It's gorgeous, sunny. And Now, how do I hold it as the woman who already has it all without collapsing in the who am I to go get more? Right. And so I also invite that into your cycle right now is who are you not to receive more? Who are you not to go bigger with your love story? Who are you not to create more abundance, more magnetism, more radiance in your life? Who are you not to go to get more curious about your feminine energy and creating more success and more just abundance in general in your life like a woman? Who are you not to create everything you want in your life like a woman? And we do it differently than men. And dare I say, we might even just have the capacity to do it better, with more ease, with more pleasure, with more radiance. And here's the thing, I've never seen a great woman making great money not make great impact in the world. I don't really see it that often. I see those women donating a lot to charity. I mean, I'm sure they exist. Not in my reality, not in my frequency. I know they exist out there somewhere, but the women in my world, when they make great money, they make impact. Because women are natural born leaders, because women love, right? Women are mothers. Even if you're not a mother, even if motherhood's not in your journey, you're still a mother because there's something about you that will look if a baby's crying or needs help, right? There is something in you who could mother fur babies, right? There's something in you that could mother a society and nurture a society back to health. That is the most incredible, gorgeous, cyclical nature of the feminine. And we can either buy into the stories that it's hard and it's not for us and it's for other people. And also, like, great men are for other people or great men don't exist. I said this on my stories the other day on Instagram. I was like, if you're struggling in your relationships with men, it's because you maybe don't like men, right? Like, let's clean that up. Let's clean up all of those subconscious beliefs that are keeping you closed and reopen you back up to possibility, reopen you back up to pleasure, reopen you back up to love, reopen you back up to abundance. And the more abundant you are in the mindset, the more you will receive everything that you want. And if you're here, your goal might be deepening your relationship with a man, or, dating, relationships, having better results in dating. To be clear, like, my zone of genius is really helping women become so magnetic and irresistible to men. Like, I'm so good because of who I am and who I've chosen to be and what I've chosen to learn and how I've chosen to get results in my life at making men just fall all over me, making men just fall all over my clients with absolute adoration and gifts and opening doors and chivalry in a world where people say that's not possible. It's possible in my world because it's who I be, because it's the reality that I choose for myself and my clients. It's become so obvious at this point that is my zone of genius. And the deeper work there is like the process, right? Not just the result. The process is the abundant mindset work. It's the possibility work. It's cleaning up the core wounding of you don't like men, or you don't trust men, or you don't feel safe with men, or you have all this pain with men from the past. You have a ton of evidence that men are bad to you, or men are this, or men are that. We clean that up. We replace it with evidence that men are amazing. Men adore you. And then we get your nervous system on board with receiving it. We get to do that with wealth. We get to do that with expansion. We get to do that with leadership. Like, you really get to be her, if that's who you desire to be. And it's so on my heart to be speaking about this right now. Like, I'm a love expert. I get it. I know that's what you're here for. Love. And this is where my heart is. Like, my heart is so called to speak on, like, deeper spiritual principles right now, leadership and the feminine leading, right? And I can't ignore it. I can't ignore it. It's not just about romantic love anymore. It's about love in general. And I'm here to show you my process as I move through where we are in the world, and I'm here to bring you with me, and I'm here to take you there as well, in full honesty, in full authenticity, in full transparency, because you deserve it. I love you guys so much. Thank you for joining this podcast episode. I do have the video on YouTube, so I started deciding to do videos. I thought that would be really fun for me and you. It feels like we are hanging out in my office together. Open, my new 6-week mastermind, is beginning on Friday, September 26th at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It is $1,111. It is a crazy, 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 crazy steal of a mastermind, and it is the one and only time I'm going to run something like this, at least as I know for now. And I'm so excited to get these 10 women inside. The result of softening and opening and feeling that joy and pleasure again, to be that magnetic, radiant version of themselves who has open energy in the world. Open energy is the game changer in love. Open energy is the game changer in wealth. Open energy is the game changer for the woman who wants to receive more out of life. If you are interested, I will go ahead and drop that link to join us below. I can't wait to see you there. Thanks so much for joining. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Modern Muse Diaries podcast. I'm so grateful and so honored to have you here. If you love this episode, subscribe and drop down below and give us that 5-star review. Leave us some words. I cannot wait to hear from you. This episode is brought to you by my brand new, never been done before 6-week mastermind, Open. For the woman who has experienced heartbreak, closure, grief, and is ready to open back up to the magnetism and the radiance of life. I'll put that link in the show notes below, and I'll see you in the next episode.